6. Guru Charitra, Chapter 5. The Incarnation of Shripada Sri Vallabha. This chapter describes the incarnation of Sri Dattatreya in the Kali Yuga as Sripada Sri Vallabha in Pitarampuram as a son of Surnata. Sri Vallabha sets out on his divine mission at a very early age, after curing his lame and blind brothers and blessing the household with endless prosperity. Siddha Yogi again referred to the curse of Durvasa Rishi on Lord Vishnu. Due to this curse, Lord Vishnu had incarnated himself several times. Each of the incarnations subdue evil, re-establish Dharma, destroy the wicked people, and help the protected the good. Like the incarnations of Vishnu in the early yugas, in Kali Yuga, Lord Dattatreya too had to incarnate to promote righteousness, to dispel spiritual ignorance which has overtaken the world due to the influence of Kali, and to light the lamp of wisdom among people. Lord Dattatreya was born as Sripada Sri Vallabha. The Siddha Yogi narrated about this avatar to Namdaras. There is a place called Pitapuram on the eastern coast of southern India. There lived a pious Brahmin couple in this place. The husband's name was Apalaraju, and the wife's name was Sumata. While managing the household on one hand, Sumata used to devotedly assist her husband in religious rituals. On the other, she was very hospitable and used to serve guests with great veneration. On one Amavasya, there was a Shrad ceremony in the house. All the food preparations were ready, but the priest had still to take sacramental food. At this junction, a sannyasi came near the back door and asked for food. How to offer food to this strange guest before the priests were fed was a dilemma for Sumata. On Shrad days, to feed anyone before the priest, who symbolize and represent the departed souls, the Pitri Devatas, are fed is prohibited. If anyone else is fed, it is supposed to nullify the merit and the purpose of the Shrad ceremony. In her dilemma, Sumata looked with embarrassment at the face of the sannyasi. She instantaneously felt that the guest was no ordinary being. As God himself came to test me, she felt. She forgot everything as to what was right and what was wrong, and she was to serve him food. And lo, the mendicant was Lord Dattatreya himself. Dattatreya was extremely pleased with Sumata for her goodness of heart and said, "Mother, I am very much pleased with you. Ask for whatever boon you may wish." At this, Sumata was overjoyed. In that ecstasy, she spoke out, "Maharaj, let the word mother, ama, as you address me, now became true and real, that someone may be born to me. That is all what I beseech you." The Lord said, "So be it." And and instantly he disappeared. In the course of time, Sumata became a mother, and Sripada Sri Vallabha, the incarnation of Lord Dattatreya, was born to her as her son. In truth, it was not a birth in the normal sense. It was the manifestation of the Lord as a child in the house. How blessed is the mother that bore the Lord as her child. The child was named Sripada, as advised by the priest of the place, as the child's feet bore all the auspicious and holy marks and signs like the cons, the chakra, and etc. Sripada, Sripada's thread ceremony, Upanaya Samskara, was performed at the age of 7. Just as the initiation ceremony commenced, Sripada shone like a Yanana Bhaskara, son of wisdom, and started reciting Vedic mantras with great mastery. All the pandits and scholars were dazed at Sripada's self-manifested knowledge and wisdom and bowed down to him. When Sripada attained marriageable age and his parents had found a suitable match for him, they told him about it. Sripada smilingly said, "Renunciation, Vairagya, alone is my companion in life, and every woman in the world is none else but my mother." As he said that the Vairagya Stri, the Yoga Stri, would be his life's companion, he came to be known as Sri Vallabha, Sripa Vallabha. Sripada further said, "My mission is to go out into the world, give initiation, and to guide the sadhus." Saying thus, he sought permission from his parents to sannyasa and leave the home. But it was too much for the parents to give them their consent. How could they forgo such a son? The situation was all the more poignant because among the other two children they had, one was dumb and deaf and the other was blind, and both were invalids and mentally retarded. If Sripada Sri Vallabha forsook them, who would look after them in their old age? What would be the plight of the family? That was the anxiety and anguish of the parents. Sripada understood their worry and anxiety. He called his brothers near him, cast a divine and benevolent glance at them with an overflowing love. And what a wonder! Instantly, their physical and mental disabilities disappeared. They become perfectly normal and also gain instantaneously the knowledge of all the Vedas and the scripture. All were overwhelmed with joy. Sripada blessed all of them, saying that they would have a healthy and prosperous life. He enjoined on his brothers to serve the parents with love and devotion and assured them all liberation in the birth itself. Sripada Sri Vallabha then decided to set out on his mission. He bade goodbye to his parents. To his mother he said, "Mother, don't be sorry that I am leaving you now. I got a divine mission to fulfill. I have to redeem the world from the ignorance it is steeped in. I have taken this birth as your son only to redeem humanity. I have to instill into all people faith in God and reveal to them the divine glory." He consoled all his relatives with his kindly advice and loving words and went out in sight in a trice. Using his yogic power, he traveled with the speed of the mind and reached holy Varanasi, Kasi instantaneously. Then he remained incognito. He then went to Badarikaskasram on a pilgrimage, worshipped the deity there, and went to the south. He arrived at Gokarna, Mahabaleshwar. Gokarna is a hallowed place. It is the seat of Mahabaleshwar Sivalinga. Shripad Sri Vallabha stayed here for 3 years and with his presence made it even a holier place. Thus ends the 5th chapter of the Sri Guru Charitra, describing the incarnation of Lord Dattatreya as Sripada Sri Vallabha. Glory to the all-merciful, the omnipresent, and the ever-responsive Guru Nanak. Pranams.
So I'll be reading the chapter 6 of Guru Charitra. Gokarna Mahabaleshwar. This chapter describes the birth of Gokarna Mahabaleshwar Ravana. By the merit of his great penance, earns the Atmalinga from Lord Shiva. How the Atmalinga happened to get grounded at Gokarna is described in this chapter. Namdarak prayed to Siddha Yogi to tell him about the Gokarna Mahatmya. He said it must have a great significance that it was a place chosen by Sripada Sri Vallabha in preference to all other holy places in Bharat for his sojourn and stay. Siddha Yogi began the narration of the birth of Gokarna Atma Linga as originally related by Lord Ganesha. In the most ancient times, in Treta Yuga, there was a great Brahmin sage, Pulastya, in the kingdom of Lanka. His wife's name was Kaikasi. They had a son named Ravana, who was the ruler of the kingdom. Ravana had 10 heads and 20 arms, and he was unusually mighty and strong. Kaikasi was a great devotee of Lord Sankara, and she offered worship to Sivalinga every morning. She would not take food until she finished her worship. For her worship, she would find a new and original Sivalinga every day. If she failed in finding a new Shivalinga, she would fast for the day, and for that day, she would prepare a Mritka Linga, the Linga form molded out of clay, and would do her worship to it. One day, as Kaikasi did not get an original Sivalinga, she was doing her worship to Mritka Linga, which he had prepared. Ravana saw this and felt in his pride and conceit that it did not befit her, the mother of a mighty person like him, to have to do worship to a mere Mritka Linga instead of the original Sivalinga. He said he would bring down the Kailash itself along with Sankara into Lanka for his mother's worship. He made a vow to this effect and set out for Kailash. Reaching there, he tried to pull out the Kailash mountain for taking it to Lanka. The mountain began to totter. The Devaganas and even Goddess Parvati were being tossed about. Even the heavens and netherworlds became shaky and extremely panicky. Goddess Parvati asked Shiva what was happening, and Sankara told her that Ravana, the son of his great devotee Kaikasi, was trying to pull out the Kailash to take it away to Lanka for his mother's worship. He said that Ravana was a great devotee of his, and hence he was refraining from doing anything in the matter. But with further pleadings of Parvati, Sankara intervened and pressed down merely with the toe of his right foot, which nearly crushed Ravana under the mountain. Ravana realized his folly and started praying to Sankara for his mercy and grace. In his rich musical voice, he began singing Samavedic hymns in the praise of the Lord. He undertook penance, he made a new musical instrument, the Yantra Karmalika Rudravina, with his head, veins and nerves, and started playing on it in a rich, enrapturing music to please the Lord. He was cutting off his head and offering a sacrifice in oblation to the Lord. It was a penance unprecedented and never undertaken by anyone ever before. Sankara was very much moved by the devotion and austerities of Ravana. He appeared before Ravana and told him that he would give him whatever boon he would wish for. Ravana prayed he wanted Kailash itself for his mother's worship. Sankara said that it was an impossible wish, but he would instead give him his Atmalinga, which is the divine core of Lord Shiva himself. He said the Atmalinga embodied itself the highest divinity, and whoever worshipped it for just 3 years would himself become almost like Sankara. He, however, warned and cautioned that the linga should not touch the ground till it reached Lanka and was enshrined there. Ravana was elated at winning the Atmalinga, but all the gods were frightened because the new power which Ravana won through the possession of Atmalinga would make him the mightiest person and unconquerable even by the gods, unconquerable even by the Trinity. Ravana had already subdued and enslaved the 5 elements and Navagrahas. Now his pride and power would have no bounds and restraints. The gods started shuddering in fright and prayed to Lord Vishnu to save them and the worlds from the impending doom. Lord Vishnu approached Ganesha, and together with Narada, they planned out how to deprive Ravana of the Atmalinga. The plan was that Vishnu would create an artificial dust by covering the orb of the sun with his Sudarsana chakra. Ravana would then break his journey wherever he be to perform his Sayam Sandhya. Ganesha would then appear there as a rustic boy. Ravana would request Ganesha to hold the Atmalinga in his hands till he, Ravana, would finish his Sandhya Vandana. Narada would then appear there and draw Ravana into conversation and delay the latter in completing his Sandhya Vandana. In meanwhile, Ganesha would ground the Atmalinga. Ravana was still midway to Lanka, proudly carrying the Atmalinga. The sun suddenly dimmed down due to the contrivance of Vishnu and giving the impression that it was nearly nearing dusk. Ravana was meticulously observer of the daily rituals and therefore was keen on doing his Sandhya Vandana before sunset was over. But what to do with the Sivalinga while doing Sandhyana Vandana? Siva told him that it should not be kept on the ground till he reached Lanka. While he was in this dilemma, there appeared nearby a shepherd boy playing around and who looked so guileless and innocent. It was Lord Ganesha himself in that guise. Ravana called out the boy and pleaded with him to hold the Shivalinga for him till he finished his evening oblation to the sun deity. The boy pretended that he was in a hurry to get back home as it was getting dark. On Ravana's further pleading, the boy said the Sivalinga seemed too heavy for him, and anyway, he would hold it, but Ravana should return soon. He said, "If you delay, I shall lay it on the ground and go away." He added, "However, I shall call out to you thrice before putting it on the ground and leaving." Ravana, placing the Sivalinga in the hands of the boy, hurried to the river. There he was accosted by Narada, who went on complimenting and congratulating him for winning the Atmalinga, which is the most powerful linga in the world in the whole world. He said, "It will make you the mightiest person in the world, and you will forever rule all the gods." Narada thus delayed Ravana, engaging him in conversation. Before Ravana could finish his Sandhya Bandana, he heard the boy calling out to him. Ravana took it easy, but nevertheless completed the Sandhyana Vandana fast and hurried back. Lo, by the time he reached back, the boy had already grounded the Sivalinga. Ravana was furious with the boy, but the boy pleaded, "It was too heavy for me. I called out for you thrice. As you did not return, I couldn't help laying it on the ground." Ravana tried it with all his might to pull out the Shivalinga. The more he pulled, the more firmly it was getting stuck in the ground. However, with the pull of Ravana, the linga got twisted and elongated into the shape of cow's ear, Gokarna, as it is withstood the mighty strength of Ravana. The Sivalinga came to be known as Gokarna Mahabaleshwar. The place also came to be called Gokarna Mahabaleshwar and is deemed most holy. The Sivalinga was installed there by Lord Ganesha, the foremost of the deities, and furthermore, the installation was done at the instance of Lord Vishnu himself. It is said that Ravana did the severest penance at this place only and attained all the boons from Lord Shiva. All the gods also are said to have done great penance at this holy place. The power of this place had been described in detail in the Skanda Purana. Thus ends the 6th chapter of Sri Guru Charitra, describing how the Atmalinga of Shiva found its habitation at Gokarna and made it one of the most holiest spots in the land. Glory to the all-merciful, the omnipresent, and the ever-responsive Guru Nath. So that's the end of chapter 6. So thank you for listening. Wow.
Beautiful,
Thank you,
beautiful. I
Sandra,
love it.
for joining us. Yeah, very
Thank
beautiful.
you, Sandra.
I love the story of Sri Vallabha.
Yeah, and
So much
also
energy.
Yeah,
Gokarna, the Gokarna
Mm.
Mahabaleshwar.
yeah,
We're learning
yeah,
always when you read. And are you picking up on the energy? I feel such a vibration on
yeah.
my chest, my
Yeah.
heart chakra.
There's that energy now, actually. My
Yeah,
solar plexus is activated again.
absolutely.
The masters.
That's needs to be calm. Because it makes you, because when you're reading, both of you are reading, my eyes, the energy is so intense. I just want to close my eyes and listen. And then I feel like myself getting deeper and deeper into this. Oh, it's beautiful. So
Wow.
thank you for that.
I can
Yeah.
feel an energy, Stanley.
Yeah,
It's
they
Mohanji,
are. Yeah, it's Mohanji and the masters.
heart chakra. Yeah,
Wow.
it's, yeah, always heart chakra. That's where our
My
soul
crown
resides.
chakra, and my solar plexus is like activating. Wow.
Yeah, me too. My crown in this one, it's getting sensitive.
Wow.
The
I think
moment.
they're blessing us. They're giving us blessing.
They always give us blessings. That's when you
Yeah.
read,
Yeah.
it's everybody listening to the readings will be blessed also. It's not, only to do the readings, it's going out to the world. Because when you post it, it's, everyone who listens to it gets blessed.
Wow.
It's a beautiful thing. Thanks
That's
for
nice.
having
I
me.
can feel it. I can feel the energy. And it's like my hair is, stood up here in my crown too.
Yeah. And plus, both of you met Mohanji so recently. So,
Yes.
wow. So you know the energy when you feel Monji's presence. I mean, that's what it is. 360-degree presence of a cosmic master. Monji is everywhere, omniscient. So, you know, we are reading truths, ancient truths, you know, and basically relearning.
Yeah.
And Shripad Vallabha is Lord Dattatreya, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
incarnation of Lord Data.
Datta.
And
And Monji hails from that lineage.
yeah, yeah,
Dattatreya,
yeah.
Brahma, Vishnu,
And
Maheshwara.
and
But
the
Monji
master
has come, sorry. Yeah, Monji
uh,
has come to this incarnation as Mohanji, not
mhm.
as anybody else. He
Yeah,
says, I come as Monji and I will leave as Monji.
that's
So,
Mohanji.
you know, people, it is quite natural for us to actually say that, you know, Monji reminds you of Lord Datta or whatever, you know, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu. Monji reminds us of, Monji is an incarnation on his own. So it's actually, oh, how can I express that? It's a beautiful thing, what is happening.
Sandra,
The energy
Yeah.
is just flowing. Yes.
last week's reading, that was also what was discussed with Lakshmi, that uh Mohanji, uh you can see all the masters in him and all the
Yes.
deities. He's
Mhm.
like a
Yeah.
mirror. He's like a clear mirror of all the masters of the tradition.
Mhm.
So you will see people seeing him as Lord Datta, Lord Shiva, and even Baba and the masters, because as a guru, he reflects all of all of the masters of the tradition. You know, uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
he channels through his present incarnation of Nandi, he channels this pure energy, this timeless
Mhm.
energy of these masters who have blessed and guided humanity aeons, aeons pass. So when we hold on to
It's like
Mohanji,
it's like an empty vessel.
yeah, it's like an empty vessel. And when we
Yes.
hold on to Mohanji, we're not only holding on to him alone. It's like a
Mhm.
chain of hundreds of masters until it
Master.
leads to that one infinite single consciousness that binds us all.
It's beautiful
So
when you put it
true.
that way, Stanley. You know, Monji is this is it's all dimensions.
Yeah,
Monji is everything. You know, the vastness that is Monji is incomprehensible to most people. You know,
yeah,
people have to you know, it's not everyone actually gets Monji, you know, because Monji is so vast. You can't
yeah,
actually put Monji in a box. You can't say Monji, you can't put Monji in a frame. You know, there are actual frames going around. The same Monji said this, Monji said that. Everything is part of something bigger, you know? So it's we have to be careful. We cannot create any frames around Monji. And Monji is the purity of Monji allows us to be spontaneous. If you really truly love Monji and understand who he is, because he's training us to be masters, not followers,
not
right?
Yes.
follow. Yeah,
Yes.
that's why
We're not following him.
we do not focus on the form of our guru.
Mhm.
Yes,
We connect,
yes.
and once that connection happens, you know that the presence, the consciousness envelopes you until it becomes one with you, and it becomes you.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree, Sandy. That is beautiful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you,
Thank
Sandra.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sandra, for
Jai
joining
Tatsa,
us.
Jai
Thank
Guru
you.
Datta,
Thank you.
Jai
Jai,
Monji.
Jai
Sri
Guru
Guru
Datta, Jai
Datta.
Mohanji.
Hi, Mohanji. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, Stanley.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you, Stanley.
Ate.
Thank you. See you again next week.
Thank you.
Next week again. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.